I never would have imagined that DARYL DIXON would be the one to decide whether or not there would be an international conflict during the zombie apocalypse in all the years I watched The Walking Dead. Is DARYL DIXON from The Walking Dead bidding France farewell with a bientôt or au revoir? Is he now firmly in his medieval flail era and or the crossbow? The spin-off has reached its conclusion, and it begs to begin again. The epilogue left things open for the titular anti-hero, while wrapping things up for Daryl's traveling companions, Isabel and Laurent. A history lesson is also included in the episode, both globally and specifically in relation to DARYL DIXON. I ought to have anticipated this. Over the course of the 6-episode season, I've almost mentioned Normandy multiple times. I was unable to think of a joke for D-Day. I take that one. Daryl Day isn't quite right. I could see that Normandy was on their minds from the moment Daryl washed up on a French beach at the opening of the performance to the way it continued to highlight the numerous ways that the United States and France had helped each other over the years. However, I was taken aback when Daryl disclosed in the season finale that his family had a direct hand in the situation. On the beach, during the D-Day invasion, his grandfather passed away. I can't claim that my The Walking Dead bingo card has him visiting William T. Dixon's grave. Daryl believed that the passing of his grandfather was the catalyst for both his father's and his difficult upbringing. He is angry with him for leaving the family to fight in another person's conflict. He believes it would be a failure to pass away elsewhere, but his viewpoint is altered upon witnessing the grave. His roots are in France, both biologically and through his adopted family. Though he never left the shore, his grandfather did. Now for the actual conclusion. Using a French flag as a makeshift weapon, Daryl defeats the Uber zombie in the arena, continuing where the penultimate episode left off. Quinn is then brought in by Madame Janet's men, who then bind Quinn and Daryl together and give them some fresh beasties. The arena's lighting scheme is flawless. One by one, each new zombie is presented with a spotlight. Whatever you think of the French, even the autocrats at Pouvoir du Vivant can appreciate good design. Nevertheless, there is a serious fault in the design of the zombies they are testing on. They begin devouring one another. With Quinn escorting him, Daryl triumphs over the mob and the conflict, making their getaway possible. Sadly, Laurent is aware that his deadbeat father is not meant to remain in this world for long. He muses over how not so romantic it was to kidnap Isabel as he slowly gives victim to a zombie bite. "You're too late, buddy." To give them some time, Daryl persuades him to sprint towards the Garriers while bleeding and bitten. I think the idea is a little awkward as, despite Daryl bringing Isabel and Laurent back together, a zombie like Quinn is waiting for them in the tunnels. What good is it to give something up if you end up becoming the threat? In my opinion, no. It only succeeds when young Laurent is compelled to intervene and slay an undead when Isabel is in danger of biting her old lover. A story as old as post-apocalyptic times states that you must soon become accustomed to murdering zombies or the emotional impact of killing your estranged father would be amplified. Still, I'm really sorry to see Quinn go. He was a wonderful counterbalance to Daryl and Isabel, and should this program continue for more seasons, he might have had a compelling redemption story. The Walking Dead's possible redemption storyline might be as follows. Caudron is the owner of DARYL DIXON. He follows Daryl, Isabel, Laurent, and Sylvie, who decided to join them after the battle instead of staying in Paris as they travel, and then he abruptly lets them go. Laurent only needs to remark, "God loves you," before Caudron opens fire on his fellow Garriers. Madame Janet locks Caudron up and declares her intention to permanently shut down the Union of Hope when he returns. The heroes eventually arrive at the nest, which is situated on the actual island community of Mont Saint-Michel in Normandy. Both the royal building in Tangled and Minas Tirith in Peter Jackson's Return of the King were influenced by the remote castle community. Because of how stunning the Mont is, the program can't help but include broad images of the beach outside every few minutes. The nest is what it seems to be, a secure retreat. Daryl informs Isabel that it's not a bunch of Amish people, as he had anticipated. They greet Sylvie, Daryl, Laurent, and Isabel with bouquets of flowers and even a round of applause. Lo Zhang, the American expat leader, is a patient and gentle person. He and Laurent talk about rationality. While he makes secure travel arrangements for Daryl to Newfoundland, he begs him to stay. Daryl first gives himself some time to relax and heal. He spends his time with Laurent, trained soldiers, listens to Lo Zhang's Unitarian-ish lectures, and at last utters the one French word he knows, santé, which is a toast to health. I would stay there without a second thought and send a pigeon to the Commonwealth to let them know I'm okay. If it weren't for Madame Janet and her ultra-zombies? And did I catch Daryl and Isabel exchanging meaningful looks at any point throughout this scene? It starts off quite romantically and almost immediately, but it also ends up nowhere, even after Daryl takes care of Issa's injuries. That is akin to DARYL DIXON's approach. Even though Daryl has amassed a horde of lustful admirers over the years, the character doesn't actually engage in romantic relationships. Throughout the course of the original series, he only had one romance, which was primarily in between episodes, with a woman named Leah. He changed the subject when Sylvie inquired if he had ever fallen in love while traveling to the nest. He was not even grinning. His brows went up a fraction. Since the first episode of The Walking Dead, Daryl's sexual orientation has been the subject of much conjecture, for better or worse. Sadly, that's the reason I became alert at the Demomod. In a 2014 interview with GQ, Reedus revealed that Frank Darabont, the original showrunner of The Walking Dead, thought Daryl may be prison gay. According to Darabont, this was a jumble of internalized homophobia, toxic masculinity, and self-hatred. We're not relieved that path was not taken. Daryl was described by Robert Kirkman as being straight and somewhat asexual on The Talking Dead later in 2014. I don't want to dictate to DARYL DIXON in a prospective second season of The Walking Dead, but there is a severe lack of representation for the asexuality continuum, which encompasses identities like demisexual and graysexual. Perhaps it's time to take a closer look at it. Perhaps there was a gender and sexuality studies student at the nest. Without bidding Lauren farewell, Daryl plunges into the water and makes his way down the shore to meet his ride. It is quiet. He looks content to be by himself. Daryl is a real recluse. Any community that wishes to have him should be aware that he will require time to rest and recover. He discovers his grandfather's grave there. His drunken, absent father, he said Isabel, was repeating history, since his grandfather departed to die in World War II. Daryl offers an intriguing perspective on history repeating itself with his decision to stay or leave. When Laurent most needs a father figure, he could up and leave. Alternatively, he might remain and take the chance of dying in France alongside his American-born family. Laurent only needs to gesture from a distant dune to get Daryl to stop. It's unclear if he boards the boat or stays to aid the nest in fending off the impending battle. Not until Season 2 will we find out. All is well and good, because it appears like Daryl will be visiting America. Carol shows up at the end of the episode. Her closest pal has been located in Freeport, Maine. Carol pursues someone who is riding Daryl's motorcycle. It's only Carol sheltering in the car. For a split second, I assumed Judith or one of the other Walking Dead survivors would be there as well. I know Carol is just as much of a loner as Daryl, so I'm being silly. They may not always make sense together, but it is why they adore each other. Following her discovery of Daryl's most recent known whereabouts, she gallops off. Absolutely, sister. To be quite honest, Carol added a whole star to the episode because of the extra burst of enthusiasm she brought. For a split second, she made me forget about the Uber zombies. It seems reasonable that AMC is giving DARYL DIXON a second season, and that Melissa McBride will be a part of it after such a self-assured finale. I'm ready. Daryl wouldn't make a compelling television program protagonist, in my opinion. He is the antithesis of the main character, and I don't mean to come across as phony reluctance or something. But you could tell even more tales about Isabel, Laurent, Fallow, Emile, Sylvie, Losing, and even the French bad guys. Daryl has a knack for gathering both intriguing individuals and those drawn to him. I'm included in that. That interests me. Why did Emile and Sylvie split up? It was those wild youngsters I was banking on. This show requires a kiss from someone. The opening scene of the episode with the picture of all the fallen World War II troops was one that I really liked. It's not ornate. It appears low budget in a way that is both imaginative and personal. Please, more of this. Not to belabor the point, but The Walking Dead has long since realized that it doesn't always need to use the most elaborate visual effects to hold viewers' attention. Continue using human characters. That's a reminder that both Dead City and DARYL DIXON could use, though I believe Dixon was ultimately more successful. In a job interview, Janet's tale of learning how to distinguish between honest and false eyes through studying portraits while working late shifts at the Louvre sounds like the kind of bluster I would use to persuade a hiring manager that expertise in tech theater was a must. Is it really true that the Walking Dead franchise has endured so many seasons and spin-offs without ever having a welcome sign with the words "population" dead spray painted on it? I adore that.